the air that we breathe. It has the highest levels of cadmium. It creates muscle weakness. It thrives in an acid condition. Smelt plants, these plants that break down metal ores, create a lot of the cadmium that spills out into the atmosphere. It's used in the electroplating process, and there's a lot of it that they use in batteries. Certain foods are high in cadmium, cigarettes, plastics. Cadmium is found in high levels in the water and the air. High levels are extremely toxic. Even low permissible levels are toxic to the human body. Even what the EPA has put in place as allowable in low amounts is still very toxic to the human body. It settles in the lungs. It settles throughout the urinary tract. It's irreversible, the damage. Cadmium can damage up to 80% of the kidneys before you even get a physical response and feeling that you have a problem with your kidneys. 80% of your kidneys can be destroyed. So then you're on a transplant list. And hope that you find a match, because that doesn't go real good. And hopefully you won't be O blood type if you're needing a transplant. They get the least amount of the organs, the universal donors. Cadmium settles off into the bones, and it's one of the main reasons that people deal so much with kidney stones, is cadmium, high levels of cadmium in the body. Cadmium also comes from all those pop cans. Okay, so the leaching out from the carbonated beverage and leaching all of those metals that are involved with the making of that pop can. So, not good. So, high amounts of sugar also leach that calcium out of the bones. It makes for a calcium-magnesium imbalance in the body. And that can lead to stones as well. Fluoride. Well, we have nowhere for hazmat to dispose of fluoride in the United States. So what has to happen is they go ahead and they put that into our water, and they put it in the toothpaste, and they put it in the mouthwash. Babies. Now you see that nursery water sold in the stores. The children that have the highest amount of fluoride in their bodies are the formula-fed babies. So many people make up those formula and add their water from the tap water, which is full of fluoride and chlorine and ammonia and all types of toxins that are in that to manipulate that water to appear palatable. And the other thing is, if you're buying the fluoridated nursery water and making your baby's formulas with that is it's absolutely horrible. And you really need to have, there should be warning labels on the fluoride to absolutely not use that in the formula. They find that babies are 200%, they have a toxicity level of 200% greater than children who are not exposed to the fluoride nursery water or making their formula with tap water. And then there's the other ones that, oh my gosh, they throw all that together and then they throw it in the microwave. And, you can make that, if you're going to formula feed the baby, you really need to have alkaline water. You need to have water that is purified and ionized and ultraviolet rays through that to make sure that there's no bacteria. And this high fluoride amount destroys the male reproductive system, and fluoride attributes to brain damage, and it is attributed to low IQs. It's also very toxic to the thyroid, and the thyroid is your metabolizing gland. It is what helps to burn metabolic waste that is in excess in the body. Did you have a question, Rick? No? No? You didn't have a question? Oh, maybe you had a question. Okay. Aluminum. Pots and pans, foil. Everybody's still wrapping all their food up in foil, and, they wrap their food up and throw it on a barbecue grill, and, it's soft. Aluminum leaches out into that food. Don't use aluminum foil on your food, okay? And toss it on the old barbecue grill, and everybody just does it for years, and stop that. It's one of those things you got to change. Aluminum is it's a neurotoxin. It damages brain cells. It has been found to be in high levels of cadavers that have had autopsies done with their brain with dementia, Alzheimer's, Parkinson's disease. There's more to Parkinson's disease than just low dopamine. Lead. We would think that by now that lead is out of the picture, and it really isn't. One of the things with children that are autistic or ADD, ADHD, that, their moms have eaten a good diet. They have tried to be very cautious throughout their prenatal care and with their children, with what they're feeding their children. But, we have to remember that if you're living in an older house, the lead pipes, the lead paint. Still, there is lead paint there's lead paint that is still peeling off of the walls, and people kind of knock that off and they, paint over it. So, the last Environmental Protection Agency, EPA, closed the last lead smelting plant in the United States on December 31st of just this past December 31st, 2013. It was located in Missouri, and this high amount of lead that was being exposed into the atmosphere. There's just a lot of problems with the children in that area, irritability, children not wanting to eat, lethargic, mood swings, adults with memory problems, mood swings, tingling in the extremities, severe learning disabilities, seizure disorders, language and speech problems, severe anemia, anemic problems. Lead is a neurotoxin. It's a poison. And you can find lead in these old homes, asbestos as well. Asbestos in the HVAC systems, insulation, creates respiratory damage. Years ago, one of the top apple juice companies, I'm not going to give their name, however, they used asbestos panels for filtering the apple juice through, for that apple juice to come out clear. You want apple juice to be cloudy. You want unfiltered apple juice. The companies that I always buy first is Knudsen Family, certified organic. They've been doing it for decades. They have an outstanding product, but it's cloudy, and my children and grandchildren were very used to the cloudy apple juice. They had more questions if somebody handed them over apple juice and it looked clear, it was, golden yellow, but it was clear, and they were like, what is wrong with this? So,
may I ask you a question, please?
Yes.
I know that there's some concerns with arsenic
Yeah, so that was my very next thing.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay.
Yay. Arsenic. You know, when you're juicing and you have organic apples, do not put the center core in. Some of the seeds, naturally have arsenic occurring in them. And apples are one. So even if it's an organic apple, you still want to just, you can have the skin and you can just cut like the meat of the apple off and toss out the center core, because that is where arsenic can occur. And arsenic is another one of those neurotoxins. It's accumulative. So, if you're exposed to very small levels of arsenic and aluminum and mercury, how about those mercury fillings? They crack, they break, they off gas. I've started having people remove silver amalgam fillings out of their mouths over 30 years ago, when the dentists were like, "Are you crazy? I mean, really? These will stay in your mouth forever, and this is just an expense you don't need to do." Well, it's amazing that those who had the money and the insurance, they were able to do that. Those who had central nervous system problems, within 3 to 6 months, started getting dramatically better. There was improvement very quickly on their overall well-being of their health, and it was a great improvement once these mercury fillings were removed from the mouth. And I think I had said something about Dr. Hal Huggins. You might search out his book, maybe on Amazon. He was really one of the very early pioneer dentists who brought this information about mercury, which was well known throughout the American Dental Association. It was very well known. He just was the one who had the heart and the humanitarian spirit that he had, that it really didn't matter. He wasn't going to keep his mouth shut. He brought that out to the forefront. He was ostracized by it, and financially it wasn't really a right move for him to do financially, but to live with himself, and from a humanitarian standpoint, he sacrificed the kind of money that he made to bring the truth out, and I have a lot of respect for him for that. So the arsenic is another, we're still being exposed to that, and arsenic is another thing that's found in high amounts into the environmental toxins: lead, aluminum, arsenic, mercury, cadmium, asbestos. Those are all still found in our air that we breathe. Children who struggle with these types of disorders, they become very hyperactive, they're very impulsive, they're hard to be around, you're worn out. Parents are at their wits' end trying to cope with the relentlessness and upsetting behaviors that they're caused by their children who, they don't feel good inside. They just don't feel good. That external things that bring you to your wits' end, stop and imagine how this little child feels from an internal standpoint. I mean, they've got to feel like they just want to crawl and jump out of their skin, and that's where the lecithin comes in, the GABA comes in, the focus attention, the B complex, that liquid B, World Organics B, Double L Country Store, doublelcountrystore.com, my friend who makes all of the wonderful soaps and lotions and deodorant. Deodorant is another way that people are getting in aluminum into their body. The aluminum chlorohydrate